Well, RJ, today was our first annual Safe Schools, Healthy Students planning retreat. And as you know, it was based on an appreciative inquiry model. And I think it has been very engaging for the participants.
Definitely.
So what do you think has contributed to the success of the day?
I think for me, my introductory piece was about 10 minutes. And then by getting people involved in the interviews right off the bat, they're talking about the things that they've been successful at, the things that they're passionate about. That really is what set the tone for the day.
And those interview questions were based on 6 themes. Those themes came from some work that was done with the planning team ahead of time.
Right.
And I guess it might be good just to state what the themes were. And they were about, you name one and I'll name one.
Our schools, our safe schools, is a safe, free zone to share ideas. And that's the reason I even worded some of the latter parts to say you're going to create an experiment, to kind of get the idea that it's okay to risk, it's okay to create an experiment as opposed to, well, here's an initiative that's going to go from point A to point B, and then we'll be done. Well, it may start here and it may not go anywhere. It may start here and it may go someplace else, to kind of get that experimentation theme out there.
And then another one of the themes that we looked at was about building relationships before you actually get engaged with the client or a student or a parent. What was behind that question?
I think just the general thinking that if you get to know somebody ahead of time, then you see them as a different person, or maybe more as a person when you get to work with them. You know what it's like for them, just getting to know them. You know maybe a little bit more about their family situation. So if somebody's running a little late, you might know why. Like I said, it just makes them more of a person, I think. And then you interact on a different level.
Another one of the themes that we had on the interviews was related to leaders attracting the brightest people and then just letting them shine.
Right. And that's, I think that's still a challenge. You know, it's interesting that we talk so much about different leadership styles nowadays and collaboration and providing people some freedom. And I think that's still a really, really big leap for people to take. And I think it gets back to one of the common themes that came out of the interviews is the trust. Trust in the folks that work with you, trust that things will work out all right. I mean, look at the group today. They're just amazing. You get all these people together, and if you give people a good process, then they have a really great product at the end.
So that's an example of some of the interview questions, and that started off the morning process with the discovery. So what we were discovering, I guess, is the core, positive core that we share.
That's it.
And can you say a little bit more about that?
Well, after the interviews, as you know, they went through and said what were some of the common themes in the interviews. There was the big ones. There was trust, like I mentioned before. Relationship building.
Open
communication. Safe environment. And there were some other ones too. I can't think of.
Parents being involved in the children's education. Right.
In fact, it's interesting. The table I was just sitting at was really big on getting parents, and people were kind of disappointed parents weren't here today, but some of them are. So that was great. And then after the interview, everybody sat around and kind of came up with those themes and then got to pick the themes that they were the most excited about. And then, of course, they could carry those forward to the next phase, which is the dream phase, the visioning phase. And as you know, they did that in the 2 pieces. What are some of the elements of our dream that we want to have? And then came up with some really amazing representations of their dream. There was the tree, the balloon exercise, which interestingly enough, when people did that, they weren't used to using their hands at first when they went to that level. And I thought that was a really neat metaphor for how it's so hard to help us change the design of what we did. When they asked one of the groups to go to that last part where, hey, you could use your hands, the design had changed, but they didn't think about using their hands because they were so used to the other design that had been built in.
And then some other examples of representations was the reseeding.
Yes.
Reseeding the community, and so the tree metaphor, and then, we're going to put different seeds out community-wide, so that was another representation.
Yeah, and it was neat to see the two tree and seed representations together in there.
It was. Let's see, so from there, the groups decided on what were some common elements of dreams and the representation, and then what's the next step after that?
Well, after people got to kind of advertise their dream, the piece they were passionate about, then everybody reformed into the new groups. The goal is really to focus on particular people that are impacted by that dream or can make an impact on that dream. To kind of be a little bit more aware. I mean, it's certainly the students and the parents and the staff, but then who else is involved? And that takes some thinking to come up with that, because here again, we're not used to thinking that way. And then that outer circle that they were working on were the organizational elements, the structures, the technological piece, and even how we talk to each other. That's in there as well. And it's just so challenging for people to come up with what could it be like? Because it's like the shift from Newtonian to the quantum view. We grow up in one world, and then it's like, how do we work over in this other world and work in this other way? And it's really a challenge, I think. But that's the piece, as you know, they're working on now. And then after that, once they find out, here's the design pieces that are important to focus on to bring our dream into reality, then they get to actually talk about, here's the experiments that I want to go out and create over the next week, over the next year or so.
So what do you hope that participants take away from the day today?
My goal is that everybody here leaves excited about an experiment that they can take place in, and also go back home, so to speak, and share with others and say, wow, you won't believe what I did, and actually keep that spark alive and not go back and fall into the day-to-day, but really keep that spark alive.
So, Dr. R.J. Johnson, thank you for coming today and being part of our Safe Schools, Healthy Students initiative, and creating some energy and some excitement and some new ways to look at how we can collaborate together, how we can build trust together, how we can bring leadership and students and families together in the best interest of children. And thanks for introducing us to Appreciative Inquiry. I believe it's the first Appreciative Inquiry we've had at the school district that I know of.
And I want to say thanks to you, thanks to Chuck and everybody on the team for really having the faith in a process that you weren't real familiar with for the most part, as well as in the people to say, we'll get people together for an entire day, and we're not even sure what the outcome's going to be. But for really taking that leap and for all the hard work that you've done, and this has just been a joy for me today.
Great.
Thank you.
For more information about the Safe Schools, Healthy Students Initiative, which is a community-wide initiative for families, schools, and children, we would love for you to get in touch with us at the school district, and our phone number is 407-343-8676.